All right, let's talk about what's going on in blockchain right now, because something pretty huge is happening. And no, this isn't just another hype cycle. We're talking about a real fundamental acceleration. So today, we're going to dig into the powerful forces that are actually driving this whole thing forward. This quote from our source, Ed3 Weekly, just nails it. They call it Powerhouse time. And that term isn't just about speed. It's not just about things moving faster. It's about a huge shift where all this tech is finally starting to deliver some serious real-world value on a massive scale. So that's the big question, right? What's actually the engine behind this powerhouse time? Well, it's not just one single thing. It's not some magic bullet. It's more like a perfect storm, a bunch of really powerful forces all coming together at once. And the key to really getting it is to stop thinking about all these innovations as separate little projects. Instead, you have to see the whole blockchain world as one big self-reinforcing system. And that system has a name. We're talking about the Web3 flywheel. Okay, so what in the world is the Web3 flywheel? Well, picture a really heavy flywheel. At first, it's super hard to get it moving, right? But with each push, it gets a little easier, and that momentum just builds and builds until it's unstoppable. In our case, those pushes are three big things: big institutional money, way better technology, and a whole new pipeline of skilled people. And they're all feeding into each other. So yeah, these three drivers are the whole game: institutional demand, scalable infrastructure, and a real talent pipeline. This is basically our roadmap for today. We're going to break down each one and see exactly how it's making that flywheel spin faster and faster. All right, let's kick things off with the first, and you could argue the most powerful driver here: institutional demand. We are talking about the biggest names in traditional finance, the big money, and they're not just dipping their toes in the water anymore, they are moving in, and they mean business. And I really want to stress this. This is not some small experiment. We are literally witnessing a multi-trillion-dollar effort to take traditional financial assets and put them on chain. This is about completely rewiring the plumbing of global finance as we know it. The core idea here is something called tokenization. So just imagine taking a real-world asset, say a money market fund, and then creating a digital version of it that lives on a blockchain. This is what our source calls a programmable dollar, and it's so much more than just digital cash. Think of it as money that's, well, smart. It has rules and logic baked right in, which can automate things like compliance and just makes the whole system way more secure and efficient. But why are they even bothering? Well, think about it. Traditional assets can be clunky, right? They're slow to trade and they come with all these operational risks. Tokenization just cuts through all that. It offers almost instant liquidity and way better security. For these massive institutions, that's not just an improvement, it's a complete game changer. Okay, but here's the thing. You can't run a multi-trillion-dollar global financial system on slow, expensive, clunky tech. It just doesn't work. And that brings us perfectly to our second driver: the need for brand new, high-speed rails to run all this on. And that's exactly where networks like Solana step onto the stage. It's really emerging as a super critical piece of this new foundation, mostly because it was built from the ground up for this exact purpose: to handle massive volumes of high-value transactions fast. So what's the secret sauce? How is it so fast? Well, it comes down to a really cool innovation called proof of history. Now, instead of making transactions wait in a single file line to be processed one by one, proof of history lets the network process a ton of them, all at the same time, in parallel. And that is what gives it such a massive performance edge. So, when you tick off the boxes for what these big institutions actually need for real-time finance, you can see why this kind of tech is a perfect fit. You need high throughput to handle all the volume, you need super low fees to make it all cost-effective, and you absolutely need sub-second finality, so settlements are pretty much instant. It just checks all the boxes. Okay, so we've got the money, we've got the tech, but there's a huge piece of the puzzle missing. Who is actually going to build all this stuff? Who's going to run it? And that brings us to the final and absolutely crucial part of the flywheel: the talent pipeline. Because the second all this institutional money committed, it created this immediate and pretty severe talent gap. The industry's needs just shifted almost overnight. We're past the point of needing just crypto enthusiasts. Now the demand is for highly skilled financial engineers, for developers who actually understand compliance and can work in this new super high-stakes world. We're not talking about a few job openings here. This is a call for a whole new generation of specialists. So, how do you solve a problem like that? Well, the industry is basically building its own talent pipeline from scratch. And this is exactly where educational initiatives like college.xyz come in. They are a direct, critical answer to that massive talent shortage. And their mission couldn't be clearer. It's all about creating clear, standardized pathways to get students on chain, to bring the next wave of builders right into this ecosystem and give them the exact skills they need to build and manage these new tokenized financial systems. Okay, so we've looked at the three core drivers individually. Now let's put it all together. Let's see how these pieces lock into place and get that Web3 flywheel really spinning, creating that incredible momentum we talked about at the beginning. It all kicks off with the money, right? That massive push from institutional capital, that multi-trillion-dollar effort we mentioned, that creates an absolutely huge demand for a totally new kind of financial system. And that demand is so powerful that it basically pulls the other two pieces into the game. It forces the creation of high-speed, scalable infrastructure, things like Solana, and it creates this desperate, urgent need for a standardized pipeline of talented people who can actually build on it. And this is where the magic happens. This is where the cycle closes and starts to accelerate. Because as the tech gets better and the talent pool gets deeper, the whole system becomes way more attractive and, frankly, less risky for other institutions to jump in. And that attracts even more capital, which then demands even better tech and even more talent. And you see where this is going. The flywheel just spins faster and faster. And that is what Powerhouse time is all about. It's this self-reinforcing system that's not just starting up, it's gaining serious momentum. Which, of course, leaves us with one last really fascinating question to think about. We know the flywheel is spinning faster, but what actually happens to the world of finance when this thing reaches full speed? And maybe even more interesting, could this same model be coming for other industries next?